a WikiVidi Documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Fast bowling. Categorisation. It is possible for a bowler to concentrate solely on speed, especially when young, but as fast bowlers mature they pick up new skills and tend to rely more on swing bowling or seam bowling techniques. Most fast bowlers will specialize in one of these two areas and will sometimes be categorized as swing or seam bowler. However, this classification is not satisfactory, because the categories are not mutually exclusive, and a skilled bowler will usually bowl a mixture of fast, swinging, seaming and also cutting balls, even if he prefers one style to the others. For simplicity, it is common to subdivide fast bowlers according to the average speed of their deliveries, as follows. There is a degree of subjectivity in the usage of these terms. For example, Christenfer uses the terms fast-medium and medium-fast interchangeably, and sometimes replacing medium-fast to medium. For comparison, most spin bowlers in professional cricket bowl at average speeds of 70 to 90 km per hour. Shoaib Akhtar, Brett Lee, Sean Tate, Jeff Thompson and Mitchell Starc have clocked over 160 km per hour and are categorized as ultra-fast bowlers, although often bowling at speeds significantly lower than this mark. Also, while Stephen Finn is classified as a fast-medium bowler by Christenfer, he can consistently bowl at around 145 km per hour, with his fastest clocked at 151.9 km per hour, making him the 10th fastest amongst active bowlers as of the 3rd of January 2015. Grip. The first thing a fast bowler needs to do is to grip the ball correctly. The basic fast bowling grip to achieve maximum speed is to hold the ball with the seam upright and to place the index and middle fingers close together at the top of the seam, with the thumb gripping the ball at the bottom of the seam. The image to the right shows the correct grip. The first two fingers and the thumb should hold the ball forward of the rest of the hand, and the other two fingers should be tucked into the palm. The ball is held quite loosely so that it leaves the hand easily. Other grips are possible and result in different balls. See swing and seam bowling below. The bowler usually holds their other hand over the hand gripping the ball until the latest possible moment so that the batsman cannot see what type of ball is being bowled. Run up. A fast bowler needs to take a longer run up toward the wicket than a spinner, due to the need to generate the momentum and rhythm required to bowl a fast delivery. Fast bowlers will measure their preferred run-up in strides and mark the distance from the wicket. It is important for the bowler to know exactly how long his or her run-up is, because it must terminate behind the popping crease. If the bowler steps on or beyond this, he or she will have bowled a no ball, which affords the batsman immunity from dismissal, adds 1 run to the batting team's score, and forces the bowler to bowl another ball in the over. Action. At the end of the run-up, the bowler will bring his lead foot down on the pitch with the knee as straight as possible. This aids in generating speed, but can be dangerous due to the pressure placed on the joint by this action. Knee injuries are not uncommon amongst fast bowlers. For example, the English pace bowler David Lawrence was sidelined for many months after splitting his kneecap in two. The pressure on the leading foot is such that some fast bowlers cut the front off their shoes to stop their toes from being injured, as they are repeatedly pressed against the inside of the shoe. The bowler will then bring their bowling arm up over their head and release the ball at the height appropriate to where they want the ball to pitch. Again, the arm must be straight, although this is a stipulation of the laws of cricket rather than an aid to speed. Bending the elbow and chucking the ball would make it too easy for the bowler to aim accurately at the batsman's wicket and get them out. Fast bowlers tend to have an action that leaves them either side-on or chest-on at the end of the run-up. A chest-on bowler has chest and hips aligned towards the batsman at the instant of back foot contact, while a side-on bowler has chest and hips aligned at 90 degrees to the batsman at the instant of back foot contact. West Indian bowler Malcolm Marshall was a classic example of a chest-on bowler, while Australian pace bowler Dennis Lillee used a side-on technique to great effect. While a bowler's action does not affect their bowling speed, it can limit the style of balls that they can bowl. Although this is not a hard and fast rule, side-on bowlers generally bowl out swingers, and chest-on bowlers generally bowl in swingers. A variant on the fast bowler's action is the sling, where the bowler begins his delivery with his or her arm fully extended behind their back. The slinging action generates extra speed, but sacrifices control. The most famous exponent of the slinging action was Jeff Thompson, who bowled at extraordinary pace off a short run-up. Other international examples include Fidel Edwards, Sean Tate, Lasith Malinger, and Mitchell Johnson. Follow-through. After the ball has been released, the bowler follows through at the end of his or her action. This involves veering to the side so as not to tread on the pitch and taking a few more strides to slow down. Striding onto the protected area of the pitch at the end of a delivery can damage the surface, making rough patches that spin bowlers can exploit to get extra turn on the ball. Doing so is illegal according to the laws of the game. Bowlers who persistently run onto the pitch can be warned, with 3 warnings disqualifying a bowler from bowling again during the innings. Line and length. An effective fast bowler needs to be able to hold a consistent line and length, or in common terms, to be accurate. In this context, line refers to the path of the ball towards the batsman, in the horizontal dimension running from the off to the leg side, while length describes the distance the ball travels toward the batsman before bouncing. Variations in length is generally seen as the more important of the two for a fast bowler. The faster the bowler, the harder it is to achieve consistent line and length, but sheer speed can make up for the shortfall. Fast bowlers who also manage to be accurate can be devastatingly effective. For example, the likes of Australian pace bowler Glenn McGrath and South African pace bowler Shaun Pollock. Line. In modern cricket, the 2 lines usually aimed for by fast bowlers is the so-called corridor of uncertainty, the area just outside the batsman's off stump, or actually on the stumps. It is difficult for the batsman to tell whether or not such a ball is likely to strike their wicket, and thus to know whether to attack, defend or leave the ball. This technique was historically known as off theory, but it is now so routine that it is rarely given a name at all, or forgotten about completely. Of course, variation in line is also important, and deliveries aimed at the leg stump can also serve a purpose. Precise mastery of the line of the ball is best used when a batsman is known to have a weakness hitting a particular shot, because a bowler with an effective line can place the ball in the weak spot time after time. Failing to overcome a persistent inability to hit balls on a certain line has been enough to end the careers of innumerable batsmen once they had been found out by skilled line bowlers. Length. Often, when the fast bowler is angry, he refers to the bouncer, in which the bowler aims to knock the batsman's head off with a short-pitched delivery. If this doesn't work, the fast bowler will try to break the batsman's toe along with the stumps, in order to please the scorebooks. A good length ball or salmon ball is one that arrives at the batsman at around waist height. There is no fixed distance to a good length, or indeed any other length of ball in cricket, since the distance required will vary with the speed of the ball, the state of the pitch and the height of the bowler and batsman. It should be noted that bowling a good length, in this sense, is not always appropriate in some situations. On some pitches and against some batsmen, other lengths will be more effective. The diagram to the right should help explain what the different lengths mean. A ball that bounces a little way before the good length and rises to the batsman's abdomen is said to be short-pitched, or described as a long hop, and is easier for a batsman to hit as he will have had more time to see if the height or line of the ball has deviated after bouncing. A short-pitched ball is also at a more suitable height for the batsman to play an attacking pull shot. A ball that bounces significantly before the good length and reaches shoulder or head height is a bouncer, and can be an effective delivery. Any ball short enough to bounce over the batsman's head is usually called wide by the umpire. Bowling short-pitched or wide balls is a bad idea, as they are relatively easy for the batsman to defend or attack. At the other end of the scale, balls that bounce slightly closer to the batsman than the good length are said to be full-pitched or over-pitched, or described as a half volley. These are often easier for the batsman to play than the good length, because they do not have time to move much after bouncing off the seam and arriving at the batsman low to the ground, are ideal for drive strokes. However, in conditions favourable to swing bowling, full-pitched bowling gives the ball more time to move through the air, challenging the batsman, way up the risk of being able to play drives against uncertainty about the swing. Closer still to the batsman's feet is the Yorker. An effective Yorker's length will be difficult to pick early, forcing the batsman back into the crease. Additionally, because it bounces at the batsman's feet, a well-bowled Yorker is not playable by a conventional cricket shot. If the ball fails to bounce at all before reaching the batsman, it is labelled a full toss or beam ball. It is very easy for a batsman to play such a delivery, as it will not have deviated at all from bouncing off the pitch. Because the three effective lengths are all interspersed by lengths that are easy for the batsman to hit, control of length is an important discipline for a fast bowler. In addition to all the above variables, batsmen control how far out of the crease they face, further complicating the bowler's task of correct length estimation. Spin bowlers, on the other hand, are almost always aiming for the good length, but need a much finer control of flight and line to be effective. A fast bowler tries to be physically fit throughout his cricket career, which may span more than a decade. Needless to say, that is tough to do, and needs a lot of discipline and luck. Strike bowling. Strike bowling is the term usually applied to bowlers that are used mainly to get a batsman out at the possible expense of runs if the wicket-taking is unsuccessful. For fast bowlers, this can be achieved through sheer speed and aggression, rather than trying to make the ball move through the air or off the pitch. More commonly, however, aggressive bowling techniques can be combined with swing bowling and seam bowling techniques to create nigh-on unplayable balls in the hands of a bowler of any speed. The end-swinging Yorker is seen as particularly deadly. Bouncer. A bouncer is a ball aimed to pitch in the first half of the pitch, meaning it has had time to rise sharply to chest or head height by the time it reaches the batsman. This causes two problems for the batsman who receives the ball. If he or she attempts to play it, their bat will be at eye level, making it difficult for them to watch the ball onto the bat and time their shot correctly. If he or she leaves or misses the ball, it may strike him or her a painful blow on the head or chest and occasionally result in injury. For this reason, bowling spells containing many bouncers are said to be intimidatory bowling. The usual response to a bouncer is for the batsman simply to duck underneath it, but this requires fast reflexes and a strong nerve, and the batsman is sometimes hit in any case. The natural reflex is to attempt to defend one's head with a straight bat, but this should be suppressed if possible, as the likely result of this will be that the ball flies off the bat at an uncontrolled angle, making for an easy catch. Most batsmen have panicked and lost their wickets in this fashion several times in their career after prolonged spells of bouncers. Physically powerful batsmen often attempt to strike the ball on the rise, even though this obstructs their vision of the ball, since it is not uncommon that their sheer brute force combined with the speed of the ball will cause it to fly to the boundary. This possibility, combined with the difficulty that the wicket-keeper will have trying to stop a high ball, means that bouncers can be expensive in terms of runs against skilled batsmen. Slower ball. A slower ball is a ball delivered exactly like a usual pace delivery in terms of action and run-up, but where the grip is changed slightly to slow the ball down. This deceives the batsman, who will likely attempt to play the ball as though it were at full speed, causing him or her to mistime their shot. The result is usually that the ball strikes lower down the bat, resulting in it leaving the bat at a slower speed. Also, the bat will generally have travelled further when it hits the ball, and be in the upward part of its arc, causing the ball to leave the bat at a steeper angle. The combination of these can be a slow-moving, looping ball that is relatively easy to catch. In an extreme case, the batsman plays the shot so early as to completely play over the ball and be clean bowled. One of a number of different grips is illustrated to the right. Essentially, the only difference is that the middle and index fingers are split and come down on each side of the seam. This causes more drag on the ball as it leaves the hand, slowing down the delivery. Slower balls are also bowled by using the off-break grip and finger action used by off-spinners. A slower delivery may also be achieved less commonly by using a leg spin grip and wrist action, or by supporting the upper aspect of the ball with only one finger or with the knuckles. The slower ball is particularly effective against a batsman seeking to score quickly. Consequently, its prominence has increased with the development of one-day cricket and 2020 cricket, and particularly when bowling at the death, where batsmen will attack with abandon. A more experienced batsman will be able to adjust his/her shot mid-stroke, momentarily pausing so as to middle the ball when it is hit. Another version of the slower ball, also known as the slob, is released with the top fingers only, aimed as a beamer. The method of delivery causes the ball to drop dramatically in flight and arrive at Yorker length. This was most famously used by Chris Cairns to Chris Reed, causing him to duck into a full-length ball which went onto the stumps. Yorker. A Yorker ball bounces off the pitch right in front of the batsman's feet, an area known as the block hole. Because of the usual stance of the batsman and the regulation length of the cricket bat, the bat is not usually held near the ground while the batsman prepares to strike the ball. So playing a Yorker requires the batsman to alter the height of his or her bat very quickly after detecting a Yorker has been bowled. This is difficult, and the Yorker can often squeeze through the gap and break the wicket. Successfully playing this type of delivery is also known as digging out a Yorker. Bowling a Yorker requires pinpoint accuracy, since bowling it slightly too long will result in a full toss or full pitch delivery that is easy for the batsman to play, because the ball has not deviated by bouncing off the pitch. It also has most of its value as a surprise ball. For these two reasons, Yorkers are not common deliveries in most circumstances. In the latter stages of an innings in one-day cricket, batters seek to attack every ball bowled. In such circumstances, the Yorker is a particularly effective delivery, both in taking wickets and preventing boundaries from being hit. Therefore, the Yorker is very frequently bowled in these circumstances, and bowlers who can bowl Yorkers accurately are prized in this form of cricket. Pakistani fast bowlers Imran Khan, Waqar Younis, and Wasim Akram, and the West Indian fast bowler Joel Garner, and also Sri Lankan fast bowler Lasith Malinga are widely regarded as amongst the best exponents of Yorkers. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?